Welcome to Reshair on ESPN 730. For the next hour, your host, Chris Reshaar, will bring fresh air to your financial needs. Excite, educate, and empower you to make sound financial decisions. Chris is a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with NFM Lending. Originator license number 117266. Now, here's your host, Chris Reshaar.
Welcome to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshaar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. NFM Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS license number 117266. If you've never listened to Reshair Radio, the goal of the show really every week is to excite, educate, and empower Charlotte teens to make sound financial decisions. And we do that by bringing on expert contributors and special guests in our community. And we talk about all kinds of stuff. It could be financial planning, could be homeowners insurance policies. It might be home inspections or even real estate. We do quite a bit of real estate. We actually don't even talk that much about mortgage. That's kind of the ironic part because I'm a mortgage professional. Nonetheless, that's what the show is about. So what I'd like to do is just first introduce our special guest and expert contributors here in the studio. And we'll roll out the show throughout the morning here and lay out our topics and give you all kinds of great information. If you're thinking about buying and selling real estate, you give us a call. If you're thinking about refinancing your mortgage or purchasing a need to get qualified, you give me a call. If you're thinking about inspecting your home before you sell or when you go to buy, you give us a call. That's what we're here for. Support us local in the community while you can, while we educate you. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce our special guest, Pamela Smith, Keller Williams. Pamela's in the house.
Hello, hello, hello.
And technically, it's Red Fox Realty Group, powered by Keller Williams.
I don't know where you came up with that name.
I don't know.
Yeah, red hair, we'll do it. 6-foot redhead, there you go.
So, Pamela, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
As I always say, when Preston has been here in the past, we'll introduce him as an expert contributor, what I call repeat offender. Preston Sandlin is in the house with Home Inspection Carolinas. So, Preston, we're going to start with you. You've been on the show here for probably a couple of years now.
Right.
Appreciate your patronage. And so why don't you share with our guests in the studio here this morning that are listening, what is you do, your company does, and maybe, how you can add value to them.
Awesome. And we're also known as Inspector Crazy Pants.
Inspector Crazy Pants, that's right.
The redhead, really.
That's right.
I was going to be the House Whisperer, but that domain was $10,000.
Wow.
And Inspector Crazy Pants was $10, so the price was right.
I wanted to be the Lone Ranger.
I like
that one was taken. I was like, man, that's
a good one.
Ranger,
that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, what we do is, Chris, as you know, most people, their home is the biggest investment of their lives. Not everybody, but for a lot of people, myself included, if you look at my net worth, it's mostly my house. So we want to protect that investment. What you don't want is, someone to, buy a house and they first, when they first get in there, they're hit with they got to replace the furnace or the roof or something like that. We just want to know, we want to advise people and educate people on, what they're getting into so that they make that necessary price arrangement or whatever it takes in the negotiation process.
What is it that you do for the company? Tell our listeners.
Me, I just wear crazy pants and I go
around. You do.
No. Well, I started as a one-man shop where I did it all. I did 3 inspections a day. I'd be, 7 o'clock at night. I'm under the crawl space. But eventually I hired people and, we have multiple inspectors. They're well-trained. Chip manages and educates all of the inspectors. I do a lot of the educational stuff, a lot of CE classes and things like that. And I don't have
marketing genius.
And marketing genius.
I don't have to.
That's right.
I don't have to crawl. I don't have to crawl in the crawl space as much as I used to. My dad told me, said, son, if you can do something nobody else wants to do, going under the crawl spaces, like, you could get paid good money. And since he was a mortician, I figured he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. So, all right, cool. So if somebody needs to get a hold of you throughout the show, they want to utilize your services, what's the best phone number for them to reach you at?
Sure. It's 704-542-6575, or they can go online at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
Homeinspectioncarolina.com. All right, cool. So, Pamela, let's roll to you. Like I said earlier, you're with Red Fox Realty Group, powered by Keller Williams. You've got 7 years experience. I know you predominantly work the South Charlotte market. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
7 years. How's that been?
It's been awesome, and I've learned a lot. It just depends on what part of the selling experience during that economy that's happening. So I've been through a lot.
Okay,
with
so tell our listeners, how did you get started in real estate? Because it's a rare day that you find somebody that said, when I was in high school, I took a little inventory about what career I should choose.
And
That was your parachute, and it comes out realtor or home inspector or mortgage lender.
Exactly.
And yet it's happening now.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
What got you where you're at?
Well, it was just time. I wanted to make a career switch. I have a lot of kids, 6 to be exact.
Wow.
Yep, they're all pretty much
got
grown.
the Brady bunch.
I do have the Brady bunch. That's right. It's a lot of activity, and yet I still wanted to have something of my own to do, and so I kind of started part time. I thought I'd dabble in it,
Okay.
and once I started, I realized, okay, this is really a serious business.
There's no dabbling in real estate.
No dabbling in real estate. Usually, when you
No
dabble,
crying
you
in baseball
leave.
and no dabbling in real
You
estate.
dabble,
That's
you
right.
leave, or you do a really poor job.
A really poor job, and so I just went full time with it. I absolutely love what I do.
Awesome. And then what is it that you like most about being a realtor?
Honestly, just talking with the people and finding out what their goals are and helping them achieve them.
Nice.
Sometimes it is to list that house, and sometimes it's not. And so it's really a matter of listening to them, finding out who they are and what they need and what their reasons for buying or selling are, and then directing them in the right place. I love connecting people. So to the right inspector, the right home person, the right. Home improvement. So mingling, kind of like crazy pants here. I like to mingle and be able to connect them to the right people. It's a great rewarding job.
Well, and the value, one of the great values of really good realtors is their knowledge of vendors.
You're right.
That's one of the things they really
absolutely.
bring to the table.
It is surprising that how much real estate we see stuff on the internet and on TV about OfferPad and Zillow, but I think a lot of those companies don't underestimate the power of the relationships on a local level.
Absolutely.
And working with people that you know, like, and trust. And you mentioned something earlier about, when you do real estate, sometimes the decision is not to sell, right? And a good experienced realtor like yourself should do the right thing and say, maybe now's not the right timing, or you're not going to make the profit you were hoping for, and let's table this for another time. I had a client this last week that reached out. He had reached out a few weeks ago and wanted to refinance. I had done his purchase a few years back, and he called me back and said, let's move forward. And I ran all the numbers for him, and I said, dude, in order for you to get $12,000 at closing, your payment's going to go up $350. I said, I don't feel good about recommending you just because you want to put new floors in your house. I think we need to go at this another approach.
Right.
And I actually told him, no, I don't feel comfortable doing your loan, right? And that's partially what the show is about, is bringing in experts like you all to show people that I showcase and highlight people that are well experienced and versed in their specific industries. And then we support each other, right?
Exactly.
We promote. And then hopefully when people call, they say, I listened to that radio show and I heard about Pamela. She seemed awesome. I want to sell my house out in Union County, and let me give her a call.
Well, people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust.
That's right.
Exactly.
It's not a ride from the airport to the hotel. It's a very personal thing. The house is where you make your memories, your kids grow up, and I want somebody that I know, like, and trust. And I want somebody who will tell it to me straight. She may tell me it's not a good time for me to sell or something or buy, but I'm going to remember that she was straight with me. So when it is time, that's going to be the first person.
Yeah, we
I
just
call.
keep the relationship going until it is the right time.
It's a relationship business. It's a very personal thing. It's not a ride to the airport from the hotel.
That's
right. That's
it definitely
right.
isn't. All right. So another question I have for you is, tell me about your thoughts on the real estate market in the greater Charlotte area.
Well, one of the things that are happening, we've actually been knowing it for about a year and a half, 2 years now, is that the market is shifting. It's balancing out.
So shifting, but you said balancing out. Okay. Tell me more about that.
So we definitely feel it in the luxury first, which I do quite a bit of, when it's been a seller's market. It's been that way for quite a while. Yeah. As you said earlier, you mentioned that we've been warning people for 10 years that the mortgage rates are going to hike. They're going to hike. They're going to hike.
Go up. They're going to go up.
Sellers, they've gotten a little complacent. I don't think they really believe us. And yet, for the last 2 years, I've been saying it's starting to shift. I'm starting to feel it. It's coming your way. Prices are lowering evening out. We're not in the point where, with the higher end homes, we're not to the point where we have multiple offers and multiple people and way over appraising. It's actually down to where appraising is, and buyers are a little more conservative because they really want to get the right house for them. So as it goes down and balances, I can't say it's going to crash like it did before, but it's definitely balancing.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't see it crashing.
No,
you know.
No, I call it more of a leveling out, because what we have seen, and you probably agree with me, is really for the last at least 3 consecutive years, we had a lower than normal inventory, or supply of homes on the market.
Absolutely.
And for our listener, what I'm really saying is a good, healthy market is a 3 to 6 month supply of homes on the market.
And that hasn't been.
And literally the last couple of years, it's been 1 or 2 months supply.
Yeah.
And so what that's created is this demand, right? We have more demand than we have supply.
And
right?
a little bit of artificial
demand.
price. Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
supply and
right.
demand.
Right. So now it's starting to level out to where we now have maybe closer to 3 months supply, and that will shift. It's hard to target it because every day it changes a little bit, right?
Right.
But it's starting to move from that 1 to 2 months back to 3 to the 4 months, and that puts us in a normal market. So then we have a good number of buyers and a good number of sellers, and it may mean that prices don't go up as aggressively as they have.
Well, things got to catch up.
Right,
you know?
but it doesn't also mean that it will drop.
No,
right?
it's not.
Well,
Especially if you're in the price range where most people buy homes.
Well, and
Right.
and I'll say this: the difference, because we were around in 2007, 6, 7, 8, 9 when it was really bad.
We were working together a lot.
Oh yeah, and,
Short sales were the key.
yeah. But the difference, we had a correction then too. But the difference then was the entire economy tanked.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
the economy is still going strong. So
very strong.
I don't see it being like that at all. I think it's just a correction. It's been smoking hot for so long that at some
normalizing.
point
Yep.
it's got to
Yeah.
normalize.
It depends on that price point too. So, like you said, the average price home at $250-ish, give or take, that home is still smoking hot. It's still very, very low inventory. When I get one on, I put it on the market and it's gone in a day. So it just depends what that price point is, but it will normalize all the way through.
Yeah. So we're getting there. So, folks, we've got way more topics to be talking about. We're actually going to come back and talk about 7 key strategies to selling your luxury home. So if you know anybody that wants to sell their big fat house in Charlotte, this is a great show for you to listen to. And Pamela says she'd like to take that listing too.
Absolutely. Call me.
But nonetheless, we've got a lot more to talk about. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Chris Reshaar, host of Reshair Radio and loan officer with NFM Lending. Is home buying in your future? Buying a home is one of the most significant financial decisions you will make in your life. Each step in the process is important to ensure a smooth transaction. But the most important step, even before you look at houses or call a realtor, is to get pre-approved. A pre-approval is when a lender evaluates a loan applicant's eligibility for a home loan. The loan officer collects information such as their employment, income, assets, and current expenses. The lender then gives the applicant an idea as to whether or not they could afford a home loan or an approximate amount of loan they could qualify for. If you're looking for platinum level service and open communication through the loan process, call me, Chris Reshaar, at 704-277-4463. That is 704-277-4463. LO license number 117266, corporate license number 2893. Go to nfmlending.com for licensing information, or you can apply online today at themortgagegenius.com.
Welcome back. My name is Chris Reshaar, host of Reshair Radio. We have just been talking here with Preston Sandlin, Home Inspection Carolina King, and Pamela Smith from Red Fox Realty Group. And today we've got some really super fun topics that we're talking about. Pamela, as you were talking earlier, a little bit about your experience in the real estate market, we were sort of planning for the show, and you really felt it was important to maybe talk about luxury listings. That's an area that you kind of specialize in, and I really want to highlight what you do specialize in as a guest here on Reshair Radio. But you had mentioned that we talk about 7 key strategies to selling your luxury home. And so let's kind of jump in with number 1. And you mentioned that, or as we discussed this, that really it's your agent or realtor matters.
Absolutely.
That's the number
The
one
agent
thing.
matters.
The agent matters.
Their knowledge, their knowledge, absolutely.
So you identified 4 key areas under your agent matters. The first one you said experience. Why don't you talk about that?
Experience matters, especially within this market. Experience matters because of who they know, who they're connected to, how they present that house, how they bring that house in front of other people. They can't just put it in the MLS and hope that it sells. It's a much, much more hands-on experience when it comes to luxury. And
I think confidence shows up a lot in experience.
Absolutely.
Too. I work with a
Attitude.
lot of new agents, and they lack the confidence, and it really affects their ability to be as successful as they could be.
Yes.
Because they don't have the experience.
A lot of times sellers are kind of in their own way. And so to explain that, I mean, they aren't necessarily completely sure about why they're selling or what the deep down reasons are. And an experienced agent's going to be able to really talk them through that, get that out of them, really get a clear vision for what they want to accomplish. And just to be able to counter some of the holdbacks that they have when it comes to price or when it comes to marketing of their home.
All right, so the next thing you mentioned was negotiating power is important under the agent experience. Go ahead.
Especially with a luxury. You're dealing with a much, much higher price point.
Right.
And pricing that house right matters, and yet you're still going to have buyers that come in. And a lot of times with unexperienced agents, they're coming in and taking a look at that house. My background was executive coaching. I was in the sales end of executive coaching. So Fortune 100 A through C level executives. Flew all over the country, flew on outside of the country dealing with high level executives. So I'm negotiating.
With that kind of
client. Reading a person is what I did best. So I would sit in those meetings. I had to be quiet. I had a $10 million contract to hold a secret over my head, and I had to sit and read the person and find out what the troubles were, and to be able to talk them through that as a group, as an individual, really negotiate that contract, and then write it up exactly the way they needed it. I had 100% sales ratio within that.
Wow,
100%.
That's out of 1,000, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of experience when it came to watching that person.
Wow, Chris, she's slumming it today, hanging out with us too. I'm just kidding.
I'm reading you as we speak.
There might be the Pamela Smith show coming up.
Hanging out with $10 million people today is like
There you
$10,000 person.
Well, I mean,
There you go.
Just kidding.
But you bring a good point in that is your experience in negotiating with these high-level executives transfers over to what you're
Exactly.
doing here in real estate today.
Same professionalism,
Right.
which is another point of it.
Well, that's right
Yeah,
where we're going
yeah.
next. So professionalism is the next thing. I think, in our industry, every once in a while we get plagued by that agent who didn't show up on time, didn't dress professionally, didn't make the return
Didn't have
phone
good
call,
pictures.
didn't know how
I
to
mean,
fill out the contract
Like,
properly.
what are they doing?
Right, exactly.
I've had to coach them through, the dress is important. Their look is important, of course. But it's really, I think you said it earlier, it's an attitude. It's a demeanor.
yeah.
It's a confidence. Right. You have to really know what you're doing and feel comfortable with it, as if it's second nature. And because of what I did before, it transfers into the real estate world, especially luxury.
Perfect. The last piece you said, personal touch, is something that comes with working with you. Tell me about that.
Yes. So a face-to-face. We mentioned that I'm in heels. I'm a 6 foot tall redhead with lots and lots of red hair.
The Red Fox name.
I can never dye my hair. I can never cut it. Apparently, that's my trademark, Red Fox. So, face to face, being able to hand deliver, door knocking. I door knock $1 million properties.
I love it.
I have no problem making that connection. Why? Because of my former professional life. I instantly read that person from behind the door and connect with them as fast as I can. So agents are afraid to go talk with people. Yeah. And I prefer a face-to-face. I do lots of phone calls, but I prefer a face-to-face only because it's that 6 foot tall redhead memorable thing. Can't really forget once I've been in front of you. So
if
good,
it-
better, and different.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I have a $1 million listing, I mean, if it's my house, I'm sorry, I want an agent that's going to be confident. When somebody comes down, and they're going to look out for my best interest. If somebody comes in and lowballs or something, that they're not going to shy away. That I want that confidence. That's what I'm looking for.
So you're back at that negotiating. It makes all the difference in the world. It really does.
Got it. Cool. Well, let's roll to number 2 strategy in terms of selling your luxury home here. You say communication is key to having a great experience. So that's kind of a vague comment there. So what are your thoughts on communication?
Well, it comes back to where I've been in my professional life. When I'm talking with a person, I'm talking to them, what their needs are, what their goals are, what their personality is, what their body language is. I'm mimicking them. I'm listening to them. I'm watching them, what their needs are, what their strategies, what they're thinking, and then I fill in the blanks. So it's my job to be able to communicate in a very detailed way according to who's in front of me. That's the first key to it. The other one is to be able to spread the news of that listing, of that
Getting
estate,
the word out,
getting
right.
the word out. Being able to go to events, kind of like your open house the other day, which was fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
Being able to go to events and talk with them and communicate without it sounding salesy, and yet very natural. I'm just talking about what's happening within the what's going on.
Well, and you communicate, and you're good friends with a lot of other luxury agents who also have luxury buyers. So
Exactly.
I mean, when you get up in that upper price point, I mean, the percentage of people that could buy that. I mean, I hope I'm not coming across sounding. It's just facts.
No, it is. You're
it
right.
shrinks. So it's good to know other people who are well connected with these people, because you can tell them ahead of time. I've got this listing coming on,
And I do.
and yeah, and that they have potential
Yes.
buyers that can,
It's just a smaller community of
Much
people that work
smaller.
luxury, and so you have to have relationships
you have to be connected to some
with
of
the
other
others that work that same market. So
A nice, solid, friendly relationship to communicate. When an agent gets a luxury listing, they call me or email me immediately. I mean, it's just something that happens real quick.
Right.
And vice versa.
and vice versa. That's cool. And I think a lot of our listeners that may have a luxury listing don't understand that those components are happening behind the scenes
For years.
with
Oh,
a good
yeah.
agent
Yes.
that knows the luxury market versus maybe one that isn't in that circle.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, we've got a lot of things to talk about when it comes to your multifaceted marketing approach, how you market properties. So I'd like to kind of start going down this list. You mentioned something about professional photography being, dynamic photos being key.
Oh,
How do you
yeah.
do that?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's photography for a house,
Okay.
and then there's photography for an estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not just take a good picture with a little artistic view, which is great.
Yep.
I have a camera. I'm part of a club. I do not take the pictures ever. It's a matter of having aerial shots,
Drones.
photography,
With music
videos,
and
with music.
Dynamic.
The
It's a lifestyle.
old days of taking a bunch of pictures and having it spin through a website of some music, but just still shot after still shot after, that's all gone. It's now presenting it as a whole. What is the feel of that house?
It's a lifestyle.
It needs to
You gotta
come
present the
through.
lifestyle.
a lifestyle.
Of the rich and luxury, right?
That's right.
Well, yeah, and it's not just the house. A lot of times, it's the house and the amenities and
Yep.
the local area. I mean,
Does it have a pond with a fountain and like the one I
With
just
water,
did? It was
yeah.
Water was going, and they had
Koi
canoes
fish.
going through, and another one had koi fish. You've got to actually have that feel. So in the background, the water's trickling as I'm talking. It's great to be able to pronounce and show all that. And so you have to be connected with the right people, the right vendors. I think you said earlier, Preston. You gotta know those people. Again, back to the relationships. It's all about the relationships. So you want to know a handful of vendors that can do that kind of thing, because it's always improving and becoming more as technology improves.
All right. Well, let's hit one more before a quick break here. You mentioned something about you like to do showcase events. What are showcase events for your listings?
So everybody kind of knows what an open house is, where we put a bunch of signs out. ideally knock on doors. I know I do.
Yep.
And call circle prospecting. And yet we want to do a little bit more. I actually do handwritten notes with invitations, RSVPs,
Wow.
being able to
personal
know
touch.
what those things are. So much, much higher level personal touch. And then I want to make sure I have those agents as well. There's two different ones that I do. I do a for friends and family, neighbors, people that I know that are looking to buy. And then I also do a broker one. We want to make sure that we have multiple levels of those events. And there's usually music playing. There's usually definitely a take-home gift at the end of it. It's a much different level.
Where are you going to be this weekend?
I know,
Chris,
right?
We need,
Preston wants to go.
we need to go check it out,
No,
man.
I love broker opens. This is
I
always
know.
great.
There
Wait a
you
minute.
go.
I don't think we made the cut. I didn't get my... I can't
we'll
quite
see,
qualify.
we'll see.
All
Just
right.
kidding.
Cool. So, and you kind of mentioned leveraging neighbors
Yes,
and local
yes.
communities.
Door
That
knocking,
kind
all
of
that
hit
kind of
that
stuff, yep.
all.
Well,
all
the
in
neighbors
one.
probably have friends, and sometimes the neighbors like to pick who their
Yes, they
who
do.
their neighbor, and sometimes you don't
true.
even realize it, but they have friends that have been wanting
Yes.
to move
Wanting to
into
get
that-
in the
that
neighborhood. or
It's
family
surprisingly high percentage that,
Yeah,
that
and they go to the same clubs,
Yep.
or they work with
They don't want just
they have
anybody in
friends
there.
a lot of times that are that are in the same level of income. I mean,
Yep.
I mean, I
Correct.
hope I'm not sounding all prudy on this, but it's just facts. I mean,
Yep,
true.
that's the luxury.
People of like kind stick together typically. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. So if you have heard anything along the road here as we've been talking about the 7 key strategies of selling your luxury home that have interested you, whether it's a home inspection, mortgage needs, or real estate needs, you can give me a shout at 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. Again, you're listening to Reshair Radio. We've got more to come, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, Chris Reshatar here with NFM Lending and host of Reshair Radio. If you are considering purchasing a home, you may wonder what your financing options are. We offer a variety of loan products to fit your situation, including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, and jumbo loans. Here in the Carolinas, some of the most common loans are FHA and USDA. FHA loans are popular in low-income and first-time buyers due to their less stringent requirements. They also have low down payment requirements and tend to have a lower credit score requirement as well. USDA loans also allow low and moderate income households to purchase homes in an eligible rural area. Home buyers who do not qualify for a conventional loan may be able to purchase a home with USDA. If you're looking for platinum level service and open communication throughout the process, call me, Chris Reshatar, at 704-277-4463. That is 704-277-4463. LO NMLS license number 117266. Corporate NMLS license number 2893. Go to nfmlending.com for licensing information, and you can apply online at themortgagegenius.com.
Welcome to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. We are here in the studio with Preston Sandlin from Home Inspection Carolina and Pamela Smith from Red Fox Realty Group at Keller Williams. And we've been talking about the 7 key strategies of selling your luxury home. And Pamela, you mentioned under your multifaceted approach to marketing a luxury listing, we went through a bunch of different things between photography and video, aerial shots, showcasing the home with events, leveraging neighbors. You also said something about personalizing a website. What does that
Yes.
look like?
So with those videos and with some of the events, all of those things go into a personalized website that then gets promoted within the social medias, within the email campaigns, within to other luxury agents.
Is that something that you do for even a listing that's not a luxury listing?
Actually, I do.
okay.
A lot of them I do. It's just it's not quite as involved,
Okay.
but it's definitely there to where we promote it. The luxury one is just a little more in depth and involved, a few more pages with it, not just a video.
That's
It's,
cool. I
more
mean,
to
I
it.
know some agents do that, but I don't think it's as common phenomenon as you think.
right.
Yeah.
So you also touched on social media.
Yes.
So how do you use social media to help sell a luxury listing?
So I work with it, but I actually have someone that works with it.
You
of
know a guy.
course. I know a guy. Actually, I know a very great gal. That's who I
Okay,
know.
great.
Yeah, she's awesome. I'm the negotiator. She definitely does a lot of the details for me. I definitely have a social media presence, and yet we don't want to just lean on simply me, right? We want to
Sure.
connect the other vendors. We want to
Right.
push it as far as we can with it. And then, of course, you pay for quite a bit of marketing with social media. I want to make sure that I reach as far as I can.
So you're even investing some of your own dollars to
Oh,
help
absolutely.
some of your listings sell.
When
That's-
it comes
that's pretty
to
cool.
the luxury, one of the things I like to say to them is, I'm investing in your home right now. It's going to cost me quite a bit to put this on the market. I want to make sure that it's priced right and that we're going to work well together.
Yeah, because I guess if you have a client that doesn't want to price it in the range that's going to sell the house, why would you invest several
Why would I?
thousand of your
Exactly.
own personal dollars to get the sale?
Exactly. Now, that's true with any of my listings. I'm investing money in that home. It's a waste of my time and theirs if we're not able to, first of all, work together and communicate well, or price the house right, or stage it, or do the right pictures. I don't want that reputation out there for myself or for that listing.
Hey,
Right.
Pamela, I got a question. If let's say, because I know everybody's house is like their child. My wife used to be
Absolutely.
a teacher.
It's very
It's
personal.
like everybody's house is perfect. And,
Yes.
if they do have unrealistic expectations of what they can get for their house, and especially as the market's shifting, have you ever introduced them in some shape or form to their competition? To show them what
absolutely.
else is on the market and at
Yes.
what price, and say, listen, this is what you're competing against. You can't be so far out of whack that we're all wasting our time.
Some of the things you can do, a lot of agents bring in the comps. You've got the different
Yes,
comps
here's
of,
the comparable
here's A,
sales.
B, C, here's your comparables, and they usually know the comparables. They've usually had Christmas parties at those
Right.
comparables. They usually know them if they're in the neighborhood. But one of the things you want to do as a good agent, you want to take those people and bring them to the other houses.
Right.
You want, as if they're a buyer. Now we're going to look at this with the buyer's eye. There's a reason why we want to price it at this point. If you want to compete with Exhibit A, and let's go in there and look at it. Christmas
gotta be
party is going to be
competitive.
completely different than what it's looking like right now after it's staged and cleaned and scrubbed and painted and the whole bit. So,
that
sometimes I have
goes-
to bring them in. And that's at any price point.
And that goes back to the fact you probably know that agent as well, and y'all
Yes.
probably do that for each other. So it's good to have all those connections.
I really specialize. I've kind of put myself into a niche. I do Union County, and even more than that, I do certain school districts.
Sure.
I do a little bit of South Charlotte because they're moving into the Weddington, Marvin, Cuthbertson area.
Waxhaw.
Or because of where I'm at in my life, almost 50, just had a birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
saw
you.
that. Yeah.
So I have a lot of, all my kids, my 6 kids are almost grown up. And so I have a lot of downsizing happening. So they're leaving that district and going into South Charlotte.
Right.
Anything outside of that, I have a team around me that I refer it to. So I want to make sure that whoever I'm talking to, I can give them the best and highest quality of information for myself. And I know that area. It's my job to know every owner in those school districts. And I, on purpose, either connect with them through social media or through door knocking or something like that.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yep.
Really cool. All right, let's hit another one here under your multifaceted marketing approach with a luxury listing. You mentioned something about also leveraging other luxury home websites.
Yes.
So what are some of those sites, and how do you do that?
Sometimes I can advertise on other sites.
Okay.
So that's pretty nice. I'm able to pay for those things to be able to say, yeah, here's one. And that has a lot to do with the relationship I have with the other luxury listing agents.
Mm-hmm.
So they can combine with mine, and I can combine with theirs. We have magazines, of course, that we connect with to be able to promote each other's stuff. It's very important to be able to connect with them.
And that's really kind of the last component.
Yeah,
You
it
mentioned
is.
about
The
teaming
leather,
up with
yes.
other luxury realtors.
Yes.
Especially.
I mean, I have coffee with them, lunch with them. We hang out. We go to the same events. It's important to mingle in that group.
Chris, how come we never get invited? To
I know. I don't know.
We don't make the
I
cut,
guess
man.
this is
What's going on? What's
Yeah,
going
it's a
on?
start. It's a start.
All right, well, maybe you can
She's
join in.
Baby
You
steps.
can join in. Yeah.
Baby steps. Just kidding.
We're not hanging out with the right people.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, cool. So I think we really did a good job at kind of hitting your marketing approach, and it's obviously very vast. So choosing your agent, communication, marketing, multifaceted approach, those are the first three key things that we talked about as strategies.
Mm-hmm.
You say number 4 is pricing it right. Pricing the
Yes.
house right to sell your luxury home. What do you say to that?
Exactly. as Preston liked to point out, a lot of times our homes are our babies.
That's right.
That special dog or that
mine's the
sweet child of
nicest.
ours.
All
We've
your
been in it
memories
for
and-
15 years or 20. My last one was 20 years. We raised 6 kids in it.
It's priceless in your
And
mind.
yeah, it's priceless. It is. We've done so much to it. And yet the market isn't going to sustain something that's 500,000 over what it's really going to sell for.
I mean, it's a nice house, but at the end of
Buyers
the day,
aren't-
it's sticks and
buyers
bricks.
aren't
It's bricks and sticks. You're
Yeah,
right.
And,
You're
and,
right.
and what do these sticks and bricks cost compared to those sticks and bricks?
Right. Now, there's some things that we can do to that house to make sure that it can get the absolute most out of that price. But we do want to keep it within the neighborhood, within the luxury market, make sure it doesn't if I've got a 20-year-old home and I have a new construction next to it, the same price, I'm not going to be able to compete unless I do a
You got
tremendous
brand new
amount
roof, you got
to
a
that
brand new
house.
Carpet,
If
you
it's
got a
been
brand
a
new
fully
furnace.
maxed out renovated house, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And there are some things we can do to make sure it's spruced up the way it needs to be to compete. So, yes, pricing it right matters. And it's a matter of communicating to them about what's going on in the market. What are the owners around you saying? What do they have? Have I been in those homes? 9 times out of 10, I have.
Right.
Even if don't have a buyer with me, I'm out looking at those houses. I'm in them. Sometimes I have to convince the realtors that it's okay to let me in them just to look. If I don't have a buyer now, I will have one. So,
Right.
what the very next point would be that I want to do some things like the painting, the staging, to being able to make it completely current with today's market. Pre-inspecting is a really big deal. So I'm really glad
Yes,
Preston's
yes,
here.
Yes.
Yes,
Key
yeah.
step number
Key
5.
is let's find out what's really going on with that beautiful 20-year-old baby that you've got. Does it have a bad knee? Let's find out.
Yeah, well, it's going to come out anyway, so it's better to find out on the front end. The
Exactly.
problem with the way we normally do inspections is, we do inspections after you've had the financial negotiation. And a lot of times inspections have financial implications, and nobody wants to compromise after they've already
Nope.
compromised
Right.
once.
Once
No,
the deal's
dollar
been-
signs are in the eyes.
Yeah.
But if you do it on the front end, get those things addressed or adjust the
Yes.
price, and they're looking at 2 houses, everything else being equal, one's been pre-inspected, there's less risk there
Yes.
because less risk of them losing their due diligence money.
Yes.
All right, so talk about, Preston, just so that our listeners can understand. The pre-inspection is when a seller decides to have your company come out and
Right.
fully inspect the property before it ever gets listed for sale.
Yes.
Right,
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
the goal there is what?
Well, it is to find out all the problems ahead of time before we have the financial negotiation. Because, let's say there's, $10,000 worth of problems in the crawl space.
Right.
Well, now that we know ahead of time, you know what, we can get multiple bids on it. Maybe we can get it for 8 because,
Yes.
the contractors are a little slow right now.
Yes.
And we can get a guarantee. And now we have it pre-inspected, just like Carfax. We might get asked for $2,000 or $3,000 more on the house versus the other one because you have, a higher perceived value because of less risk.
Exactly.
There's a reason CarMax sells their slightly higher price point than Ed's used cars because they've all been pre-inspected. They
Right.
come with a warranty. We have warranties, and it's just less risk. It's a lot more in the presentation,
Absolutely.
and especially on that higher end. I mean, the higher end doesn't want problems, and they're
Not at
willing
all.
to pay a little bit more so that they just don't have to deal with problems. And that's what it does. It just let's find this out ahead of time because if you find out about that $10,000 worth of problems after you've already negotiated, man, people don't want to compromise twice.
I love to
already
say
came down on my price.
Exactly.
I'm moving my boxes out. Now I got to scrounge up
then
money.
they're upset and it becomes emotional. If they do it beforehand, like Preston said, we've got time on our hands to be able to find the best value for them to fix it. And in that negotiation process, it's just there's no issues at all.
Right. Well, and now I will address the elephant in the room now, and I know sometimes this is a complaint that, you get the pre-inspection, the buyer comes in and have their own inspection. Now he's going to find a bunch of stuff. I recommend that. I think both people should have an inspection. But the way I always look at it is, look, I can go behind any home inspector and find small things.
Yes.
Any of them can come behind me and find small things. But if I pre-inspected a home and you found something over $3,000, I'll refund their money for the pre-inspection.
Oh, wow. That's great.
really cool.
Absolutely. So what we're trying to do is eliminate the deal killing things.
Yes, the big items.
The big elephants.
Like you said, the elephants on that thing. We don't want to hide it. We want to
Right.
expose it and fix it.
I mean, they're going to find loose doors and stuff like that.
Light
But that's-
switches.
that's not going to kill a deal. But
Wax seals in the
$10,000 underneath the bathroom rotted out, now that is a potential deal killer right there if they've already compromised as much as they're going to begin with.
Perfect. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We have a lot more to talk about as we wrap up our key 7 strategies for selling a luxury home here. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home, or buying a new car, or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late, and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com.
Hi, this is Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. We do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, any of your inspection needs. One thing that we do a little different, we fix the small stuff instead of putting it on the report. So if you need a home inspection, termite inspection, radon testing, please give us a call. If it's a home inspection or a pre-inspection, 704-542-6575, or check out our website at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending, license number 117266. NFM Lending is an equal housing lender. So we're wrapping up the 7 key strategies to selling a luxury home. We've got Preston Sandlin here from Home Inspection Carolina, Pamela Smith from Red Fox Realty Group. Don't want to forget that.
Red Fox.
Powered by Keller Williams. Pamela, we were just kind of talking. We talked about your agent matters. Communication is key. Marketing, a multifaceted approach. We talked about pricing the home right. And we also talked a little bit about pre-inspection. What would you tell your client who has getting ready to sell their house, like in terms of the investment, why they should consider pre-inspecting their home?
For pre-inspecting, it matters. It's a part of my presentation.
Okay.
To be able to say, we want to find out what if anything is really wrong with the house. It's a matter of, like Preston said earlier, those deal breakers. If I have huge issues with the roof or the crawl space or something's happening, I want to know ahead of time to be able to get a very good deal and get it fixed and get it addressed. So when the buyer does come in with their inspection, there's very minimal negotiation. There's very little things going
nothing
on.
That's going to make the
But
deal.
nothing to surprise it. I can actually hand out that pre-inspection to those buyers and let them know, hey, look, we've already done this. This is a pretty easy house to buy. It makes the whole thing hassle-free, which is key out there.
I was going to say, do you see that a lot of agents are utilizing this strategy, or is it mostly just you?
I don't know of that many, to be honest with you.
I
utilize it a lot.
Why more people don't.
Oh no! I think that's where the experience comes in.
Yes.
They're so worried about negotiating commission, they're negotiating a price, that they forget it's about the person I'm talking to, not about what I want. It's about what they need, and having a pre-inspection is what's best for that client in the long run.
And what's the investment of a pre-inspection?
Our average price is, I think it's $450, $475.
Right,
for the
like
entire...
nothing for a $700,000 list.
I mean, if you think about it, I ask realtors all the time. So, have you guys ever had a deal go south? And every realtor has.
Yes,
and
of course.
And honestly, when taking a poll, 50% of the time it's the home inspection or the appraisal. or the appraisal.
Or mortgage. Yeah,
Mortgage.
mortgage.
Or mortgage.
That's why we have all
definitely
these
been
guys here.
But honestly, if you think about it, did it have to be the inspection? Because
No.
in every single instance, I mean, the house is the house is the house. That damage was there.
Yep.
It's
Right.
just when we found out about it in the process, in the
knowledge, right.
timeline. If we would have found out about it further in the timeline before we had that financial negotiation, that deal wouldn't have gone sideways.
Right.
It was a fly in the ointment after, the seller, I've come down as much as I'm going to come down, buyers come up as much, and now you got a new.
Way too emotional at that point.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they find out about it ahead of time. And, by that time, there's no big surprises. When the buyer gets their inspection, it's loose doorknobs, nobody's going to get that emotional over loose doorknobs.
I just had one done. It took us 9 weeks to prep that house to get it on the market. It was so worth it because by the time the buyer came in, and this wasn't a luxury, it was a $250,000 house. By the time the buyers came in, there was really no issues. There was a little light switching and not even wax seals for the toilet. That was already found out. We already fixed it,
Well,
We
and
really
Which
had no
those cost,
issues.
what, $2? at
Yeah,
Lowe's
no,
or
nothing,
Home
yeah.
Depot?
Yeah, well, and Chris, you said it. It's actually a minority that does it. I mean, that does
Yeah.
it. It's a small percentage, but I think it's brilliant. The thing that's against it is the price. It's $450, $475. But if you compare that to the cost of an extra mortgage payment, or a deal falling through,
deal
and
falling
everybody
through.
having to start back.
Or
over.
negotiating something in the
stress.
crawl space. It's an extra.
Yeah.
Or a domino effect, like Dave Lodell tell you, he's got this house has to sell for that house. I mean, there'll be
Oh,
like
yeah.
4 houses.
Bunch of
And if
contingencies.
one of them falls, all the dominoes
All
fall.
dominoes
And then think about it. If
What
they
a
had
big
had a
prize.
pre-inspection, it would have prevented it,
Well, I
Yep.
appreciate it. I think we've really kind of got a thorough.
It's a big
talk-
deal.
Yeah, it is
It's
a big deal.
It's a
and-
big
and
deal, my presentation.
From here moving forward, all of our listeners will do a pre-inspection when
Yes,
they list
yes.
their
Yeah.
home.
Smart
Well,
choice.
it's a tough conversation, and Pam's willing to have that tough conversation. A lot, and I'm not trying to knock real estate agents. I love them all, but a lot of them are, they're kind of like, list with
Too
me,
timid.
please, list with me, and
Yes.
they don't want to tell them any potential. A good real estate agent will have that tough. I'd rather have a tough conversation now
Yes.
than on the back end.
Then on the back end.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right, let's move to number 6. Key strategy is selling your luxury home. Pamela, you say is consider a luxury stager.
Yes. So speaking of tough conversations.
Speaking of tough conversation,
That 20-year-old baby is quite dated. It's not a sweet 16 or a 10-year-old anymore. It's
The dogs playing poker picture on the wall.
that does not work. And so
My velvet Elvis painting.
I got to be honest. I watch HGTV with the best of them, and yet I am not a
An
decorator.
expert.
No. And so I get asked a lot, and
Shiplap.
nothing wrong with shiplap. I love it. I have it at my house. It's important to bring someone in that understands the market.
Right.
I'll be honest, my husband is a stager. He doesn't do staging. He'll do it for me.
But he has an
not
eye
for a
for
luxury. He's
design.
very good for design. He's a designer. And so if I have a listing, I'll sometimes bring him in. It's usually pretty hard for me to get his time. I'm taking away from what he does. So I actually have a couple of stagers, luxury stagers and the regular stagers that come in. They are fantastic. They become your my right-hand man,
Yeah.
and it makes me look really good. It makes that house sell very quickly. When we get through that tough conversation of we need some paint in here, we
need to invest
we
a
need
little.
different pillows, we need different comforters in here, we need to have it spruced up with a cleaning lady. And I know your cleaning lady's been there forever, but she's missing some things.
Right.
And so we need to have those conversations. And yes, I'm a redhead. I'll have those conversations.
It's better to have them now.
It's better to have them at the beginning and to know that we can work together to making that house a very smooth transaction. And the stager he'll go out and shop for you. You don't even have to worry about shopping. You give him the budget and he'll go out and get it and he'll bring it back in and we'll put it together. And I say we. I don't actually
Right.
do it. It's him.
But you're a team, so
and
is
we're
there
a
still
team.
a we
He's
in there?
incredible, and so really think you need to have him on the show at some point. But every single client that's used a stager of mine have all come back to me and said, "Oh my word, that was such a blessing. That was so wonderful. I'm so grateful." And they take all this stuff that they just bought and put it in the new house.
Yes, because
The
they
stuff
love
that
it
they
anyway.
love in the new house. They don't have to bring all their old to the new,
Yeah.
or their well-loved to the new. They can have new stuff, a new fresh start.
Well, I go into houses, inspect them all the time, and I can always tell when one's been staged because it's like I could see myself living here.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
one that isn't staged, they have all these personal pictures of every. I can't.
Personal
This is
space.
somebody. This is somebody else's
Yeah, their
house.
team is in there.
and all their kids, and I love that. But I was like, I can't see myself living. This is somebody else's house.
This is somebody else's house. That's that's a death sentence for a home that
Too
you want
much
to sell.
personal-
Too much personal.
All right, we got about 4 minutes to wrap up our show here. Number 7 key strategy selling your luxury home really is expectations around offers and how those things are handled.
Yes.
So, Pamela, why don't you talk about that?
I actually have a list in my presentation that I give them,
Okay.
and I give it to them before our meeting to be able to go down and look at it, so that they start at the beginning before they ever list with me. They're looking at what it is that they can expect. Well, how do those offers come in? What kind of feedback are we going to be looking at? What does that feedback mean to you? It could be just an agent not really feeling like filling it out, right? Is everybody going to fill it? Is everybody going to give you the feedback? No, they're not going to. To be able to know what's going around the mortgage part of it, the inspection part of it, before we ever sign anything, we start talking about expectations. Because when we talk about it beforehand, it just saves a conversation later. We keep communicating, but they remember at the beginning. So.
Yeah, I just know that, we've all been through a lot of transactions in this business. Emotions can run high, right?
Yes.
And if
yes.
you don't set expectations, there are times that not because you did anything wrong, not because their situation caused problems, but without setting expectations and clear communication, feelings get hurt.
Yes.
Right? And then you have an unhappy customer, but I think the experienced professionals know how to set those expectations. And I'm constantly telling people, I'm telling you this now, and this is hard for me to tell you because you don't necessarily want to hear what I want to tell you. Right. But if I don't tell you now, 3 weeks from now, a week before closing, when surprise happens, you call me and say, why didn't you tell me?
Right.
Exactly.
And then you're upset. So setting expectations in a transaction of all of our types is very, very important in helping a home sell, helping a loan close, helping a transaction get closed with the home inspection.
You know, and you talk about the high emotion. In a psychology class I had a long time ago, I looked it up. The 10 top things that cause stress in a person's life, like, a new child, new job, new city, child leaving, a child. Well, what I realized was a lot of times somebody's buying or selling a house, they're already going through 2 or 3 of these things as it is, and then you add on. So communication is key because a person's going through a lot of
Selling or buying
stress.
a home
Is on that list.
And a lot of times that's
It's on
combined
the
with
list.
them downsizing because children went to college,
or they're going through job changes and relocating and starting.
So there's
new
multiple
Sometimes
things
divorces.
causing stress or divorce. Yeah, that was on the list.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
So, all right, we just got a few minutes here. We got to get wrapped up. So, Preston, if anybody needs your services, wants to get that pre-inspection that we have so kindly educated the listeners here this day, what's the number they can reach out to you on the website?
704-542-6575, 704-542-6575, or homeinspectioncarolina.com.
And Pamela, just in case they need to get a hold of you, they can call me either way, but I can connect them to you.
Yeah.
Let's give
Call
your
Red
information.
Fox at 704-488-5121. And then the website would be pamelasmith.kwrealty.com.
That's easy.
Yep.
All right, and as always, you can reach me anytime at my cell phone. I say text or call 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. If you want to listen to this show in its entirety any old time, you can just go to reshairradio.com. That's www.reshairradio.com. It's been great having you all on today.
It's been
Thank
fun.
You for being on the radio show.
What a pleasure.
We'd love to have
Thank
you
you so
back.
much.
Pamela, I think, and Preston and I will be back here again. But as always, thanks for listening to Reshair Radio. We'll be back next Sunday at 10 o'clock.
Thank
you
you
very much and have a great week.
Hi, Chris Reshatar here with NFM Lending and host of Reshair Radio. If you are considering purchasing a home, you may wonder what your financing options are. We offer a variety of loan products to fit your situation, including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, and jumbo loans. Here in the Carolinas, some of the most common loans are FHA and USDA. FHA loans are popular in low-income and first-time buyers due to their less stringent requirements. They also have low down payment requirements and tend to have a lower credit score requirement as well. USDA loans also allow low and moderate income households to purchase homes in an eligible rural area. Home buyers who do not qualify for a conventional loan may be able to purchase a home with USDA. If you're looking for platinum level service and open communication throughout the process, call me, Chris Reshatar, at 704-277-4463. That is 704-277-4463. LO NMLS license number 117266, corporate NMLS license number 2893. Go to nfmlending.com for licensing information, and you can apply online at themortgagegenius.com.
Hi, this is Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. We do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, any of your inspection needs. One thing that we do a little different, we fix the small stuff instead of putting it on the report. So if you need a home inspection, termite inspection, radon testing, please give us a call if it's a home inspection or a pre-inspection, 704-542-6575, or check out our website at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
You've been listening to Reshair with Chris Reshatar, a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant, originator license number 117266. Learn more online at themortgagegenius.com.
The preceding commercial program was sponsored and paid for by the hosts of this program, Charlotte, North Carolina, which is solely responsible for its content.